Hey everyone, Max Power here, and today we're having a really quick look at how to get started in Adobe Premiere. Now this is Adobe Premiere Pro CC 2014. Any recent version should look very similar to this, and you should be able to follow this guide. Now this is opening Adobe Premiere Pro up for the first time. First thing we want to do is set a project name. So let's just type in tutorial. We want to choose our location, which I've already done. You can just hit browse and navigate to where you want to save your files to. We don't need to adjust anything else for now. Is it okay? Now basically what I'm going to show you is not necessarily the perfect editing techniques, but it is an easy way to get started and it works for me. If you want to know the exact correct way to do it out of a textbook, then yeah, feel free to look it up, but this is how I'm going to show you it. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to create a video that I'm going to call Scary Forest, which is just 3 different video clips, very short, with some ambient background music to create a bit of a scary forest sort of a feeling. You'll see what I mean when we're done. First thing we need to do is know exactly what our Adobe Premiere is made up of. It's made up of these 4 sections basically, if you've got it set up to default. First one is the source window, the program window, the timeline, and the project window. Now all these will make sense in a minute when you see what they do, so let's just get into it. So first thing we need to do is import the clips that we're going to use. In our media browser here, next to our project tutorial, click on the media browser tab, we have these 3 video clips. You'll see if I click on them, I can scroll through them to get a preview of what they are. So we've got an overhead shot of a forest, flying through of a forest, and just a lake. So we're going to select all these 3 videos by holding Control and select them. We can either right click and click import, or we can drag it to our project tutorial window. But let's just right click and click import. It's the easiest way. Go back to the tutorial window. And then we're going to have a look at our videos. So if we left click here, double left click, we can have a look at our files here. Now this source window here is where we preview our files before they go into our timeline. So we can hit play. It gives us a shot of the video. We can pause it. Let's go to our look. Let's go to our second one, which is just a through shot. So you can see that. And our third one is just a lake. So that's great. All nice and happy, but we'll make it scary by the end of this. First thing we want to do is drag our first video onto our timeline. So what that does is create a timeline here to the settings of the first video that we use, which is fine. We're not doing anything complicated. It is helpful to have them all matched as much as possible. This one's a different frame rate, but it's not going to matter for the purposes of this video. So if we go back to the start and we hit play or space, there's a shortcut key where you can see what this video is doing. So that's great. So our next thing, our second video, which will really show us what the timeline does. If we drag that in, you can see it creates this second little video section that we can put wherever we want on the same video track. So now we've got a gap and then a second video. Now we want to join those videos together. So let's right click and ripple delete. That'll delete that blank space. And as you can see now, if I hit just like there, hit play, it jumps from one video to the next. And that's basically your first bit of editing done. It's not hard. But this first video is too long. We don't want 15 seconds or 16 seconds worth of just this because it's boring. So let's make sure we've got this selection tool selected here. Let's make this shorter. So we just go to the end of the video till we get this little symbol. And then we drag it in. Let's just drag it in until it's, you can see there it says how long the video is. So let's get 6 seconds of overhead shot. And then let's make this one a bit shorter too. And we'll get 6 seconds of flying through the forest shot. Then we can ripple delete. We can also just drag it and drop it if we want. Then we'll get our third video in, drag it across, and drop it. First thing we notice is this one has some audio. So this is the audio tracks here. So if we double click this, it's actually no audio in there, but I'll show you how to remove it for the sake of it. If we right click, unlink, And then we can select the audio and delete it, and it's gone. We deleted it just by clicking the delete button on my keyboard. So now we've got the overhead, the through the forest, and the lake. So let's make this a bit shorter. Once again, we'll just go down to about 6 seconds. Okay, so now if we have a look at that video, we go back and hit the spacebar to play it. Goes to overhead shot, do our through the forest shot. Now we can speed this up. I'll show you how in a sec, just our preview speeding up. So to our lake. So it's cutting across to all the same. Now if we want to preview it a bit quicker, using our J, K and L keys on the keyboard, if we hit L, it starts playing at normal speed. Hit L again, speeds it up a bit, and more. Now that's only in the preview, so that's not actually changing the length of the video, but it's just for if you want to preview things. There's the same reason, you know, if you start here and you hit J, it'll go backwards. And you hit J, you know, it'll go backwards faster. And K is like your stop, so you can use J, K and L as your keyboard controls to do this if you like. So that's great. First thing, we actually want to add some transitions to these videos. Now transitions are the way that the video cuts from one scene to the other. So as you can see, if we look at this video, it's just a really abrupt cut to each scene. So we want to make that a bit nicer. So to do that, we're going to go over here to the Effects tab, go to Video Transitions, click this to expand that, and we're just going to use some dissolve stuff for now. There's many different types of transitions. You can experiment with them as you like. But if we go to, say, dip to black, sounds good. We're going to drag that to this clip here. Now, if we zoom in, now we can zoom in by holding Alt on our keyboard and the scroll wheel on our mouse. Now just zooming in so we get a bit of a closer view. And we can make more fine adjustments. So if we go back to here and then hit space to start our, you'll see that it dips to black before it changes video. So let's go back to add another one here. So we'll have 2 dip to blacks, dip to black, and then the second dip to black, which is good. All right. Now, as I say, you can experiment with the different ones, but we're not going to at this point in time. The only thing I will show you is that you can change the length of these transmissions by zooming in. And once again, using a selection tool, and you get this little shape again. It's got the transition icon there. We can make the transition go for longer if we want, so that the fade in lasts longer. So that, you know, that's a bit more of a dramatic effect that we want there. So let's do that to this one too. All right. So if we have a look at that now in real time, we've got our overhead shot, our nice dip to black through the flying through the forest shot, and then our nice dip to black again to our lake shot. All right, so that's good. Next thing we want to do is we want to add a title so people know what they're watching. Now that's actually pretty easy to do. We can just go back to our project tutorial window, hit Control T. That brings up the new title screen. We just want to name it to main title. We don't need to change any other settings. Hit OK. And this is just a preview of what it's going to look like on the current frame that you've got selected here. So let's select our text button. Open this. We're going to type in scary forest. Now this is just like using basically a word processor. So we want to change, we can change our font to wherever we want it to be. Let's make it anything, change it to bold so it's easy to read. Now we want to change our position, hitting our selection tool, right clicking, go to position horizontal center, and then position again vertical center, and let's put it in the very center of the screen. Now we'll leave our text as white. So we'll just close that for now. And as you can see, it's created this main title here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drag that to the second video track, and you'll see why in a minute, because we want to overlay the title over the video below it. So whatever video is on top will appear on top of the clip. So if the title's on top, it will appear on top of the video. Now, once we drag the title in, we can change the length of it to whatever we want, just like a clip. So we can make it really short if we want, so it only goes for a very short amount of time, or we can make it really long. Let's just go to, say, 5 seconds of title. Now, what we want to do is we actually want to make a blank spot first. So it's black with the text, and then it fades into the video. So let's select all our videos, except for the title. We're going to drag that back a bit, say 2 seconds. Now we've got this. If we play this, you can see we've got the text, and then the video comes in. That's not a very nice transition though, is it? So we want to add another transition to that. So let's go back to the effects. We're going to dip to black, fading in, to fade the main video in. And on the title, so it doesn't just disappear, we're actually going to dissolve, cross dissolve. So if we go back to the start and hit space now, we've got Scary Forest, fades in, the title's still there, and the title fades out. We go through the rest of our video. So what are we missing now? The only thing we're missing is the music, the scary music, to make it sound all sinister. Let's go back to our media browser, and the one we want is this one. It's just an MP3 file. So if we right click and import, you can go back to our project window, and as you can see, this is our audio file here. Now we can double click on this. Double click on this here to preview it. So if we hit play, you can hear that's pretty scary. We're going to drag this onto our timeline, onto the audio track here. So what we've got now is if we hit play, it should suit the mood. Okay, the only thing left to do is to trim the audio file down. So we're going to zoom out by holding Alt so we can see the very end of it. Make sure we've got the selection tool selected, and just drag the end in so it lines up with the end of the clip. So if we zoom back in by holding Alt and our mouse wheel, the only thing is you'll hear that it cuts off automatically. So we can also add a transition to that. If you see this line in the middle here, once this is expanded, if this isn't expanded, if it's like that, you can't see the waveform. You need to double click the audio track and it will open it up. And in the middle is this line. Now we can adjust, if we click and drag that, we can adjust it up and down. Now what that does is adjust the volume by dB. So its default is 0, and you can make it louder or you can make it softer. If you make it too loud, you will introduce distortion, so keep that in mind. But what we want to do is want it to fade out. So what we're going to do is set keyframes. Keyframes are basically just a point in the video where we want a change to happen. So if we hold Control and click on this line, you see it's put in a keyframe here. Now we hold Control, we want 2 keyframes. I'm going to drag this keyframe all the way out so you can't see it, and then down. So basically this is saying that the volume is going to continue along at normal until this point in the video, then it's going to reduce to nothing at this speed. Now we can make that, we can make that a longer fade out if we want. So let's just say to there. So if we hit play now, it fades out. The last thing to do is just transition the last of the video out so it doesn't just cut out. So once again, we go to effects. So we're going to do video transitions, and we'll dip to black at the end here. So hit play, and that's it. So basically, we'll play the whole thing through so you can see it. Got our title, our transitions in, our scary music. And our fade out. So yeah, that's that's a really quick way to edit your first movie. As I said, it's not the perfect editing techniques. You'll have experts that'll tell you that's wrong in every way possible, but it works for me. The only thing left to do is to export the video. Now, that's if you save it as a file now, it saves it as a Premiere file, which you can't really do anything with. You need to export it to a file where you can upload it to YouTube or export it to a file type that you want. So if we go to File, Export Media, it gives us a preview here, and basically we want to select the format. You pretty much always want it to be H.264 for your basic settings. That's the best compression there is at the moment, unless you want it to be huge file sizes. Just use H.264. You might want to look into it if you don't agree. And preset is basically gives us a whole heap of presets for what we want to do. So if you want to go to a phone or whatever, but for this video, I'm going to assume that we're going to be using YouTube. So we say YouTube 1080p HD, adjust all the settings to match that. We don't need to change anything else basically. You can fiddle around with these settings to adjust your sizes and stuff. That's another tutorial altogether, but basically this will get you a video edited with sound and transitions and give you something you can upload to YouTube at the end of it. So basically we just hit export after that, and it renders and exports the video, and you can upload it to YouTube. So thanks for watching. Feel free to comment, and please share this video or give it a thumbs up if you liked it. I look forward to making more in the future.